In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your core keeper base look less like Asmongold's bedroom and my bedroom, and more like something that makes you say,
I like it here,
when you walk through it. Welcome back to the channel everyone, my name is Kane, and today I'm going to give you some tips for building out your base in Core Keeper, showing you how to terraform landscapes into cool shapes like this, making nice pathways throughout the base, and making some quirky decorations to make your base stand out. If you like the sound of that, do stick around and consider subscribing to the channel for more like this in the future. But let's just dive right into it. The first thing I want to talk about on this list is paint. Paintbrushes are key to making quirky decorations, especially early on, before you have access to all the different decorative blocks that you'll find later in the game. There are so many different paints in the game, all of which not only change the colour of an object, but also how that object looks. To make each paintbrush, you are going to need some materials, one of which is slime. The best way I've found to get slime is to take your finest hoe to an area covered with slime, and then use right click to pick it all up. You can then craft this into slime orbs. I've taken the time to make an item colour palette of some of the paintable items in the game so that you can see what they all look like and decide what you personally like. So let's speedrun through that list really quick. If you do see a colour that you like, just pause the video and you can spend a bit longer looking at it. First up we have grey, and white, and black, and teal, and light blue, and yellow, and orange, and green, and red, and brown, and peach, and pink, and dark blue, and finally purple. As you can see, certain colours give off a certain vibe. The black deco gives off a more modern look, whereas the peach paintbrush can make for some very nice picnic style aesthetic. But something I like to especially use the paint for is creating textured pathways throughout the base. As you can see, my paths consist of a few different components: hoed ground, and a couple of different cobbled looking blocks. The trick to get this effect is to use the loose ground, which can be crafted with clay at the crafting bench, and then the trick is to just walk along where you want your path to be, and randomly hoe some of the blocks on the ground. Yes, I am going to be saying hoe quite a few times this video. And then in the gaps between the hoed ground, place down your loose ground which you crafted earlier. These wooden hoes do break fast, but they're quite cheap to make if you have a wood farm. If you want a video on how to set up different types of farms, whether it's wood or smelting farms, let me know in the comments and I'll make a video in the future. The next part is to grab a paintbrush and paint each of the loose ground that you've placed. Different paint combinations will make the loose ground look different. I personally like using grey and white because it gives it a sort of cobblestone aesthetic. But you can experiment and get as creative as you like with this. I would recommend referring back to the paint palette I showed you earlier to see how each of the different blocks look. Once you're happy with the pathway, I personally like to take my ceiling fister and poke out the roof above each of the path tiles to light up the pathway a little bit and so that you can see all the hard work that you've put in. To get lots of blocks in this game for things like loose ground and also to terraform your base to the shape that you want, the mortar weapons are ideal for this. You can quickly demolish large areas of land and use all of those blocks somewhere else. If you care about leveling up your mining, however, do keep in mind that this won't give you XP, so if you have the time and you want the mining levels, just mine it all out by hand. I personally like to make my life way more difficult than it needs to be, and I terraform the ground and caves around my base to be circular. If you like this look, there is a nifty tool that I use to help me with this called Pixel Circle Generator. Just count out how big you want the circle to be, the radius, and then put it into the tool. Then copy that pattern that it gives you one square at a time in a big circle pattern. If you don't want the perfect circle but you still want curved edges around your base, a good rule of thumb is to dig and place squares in odd numbers. So like 3, 5 and 7 blocks at a time, like you see in the video here. Probably wouldn't make lines greater than that though, as it'll start to look less curved and just more straight line. 1 and 2 blocks are an exception to this rule as well. When it comes to theming your base, I would personally recommend trying to stick to one color palette for your base, so that things follow a particular thematic throughout. A color palette can be 3 to 5 colors. One tip to find nice color palettes is using color.adobe.com. They have a huge list of color palettes to choose from, and you can even upload your own photo and it'll extract a color palette from that. So if there's some fantasy world that you've seen in other games or in movies, stick a photo of that in there and it will extract the colors for you. After that, you can just grab the blocks and the paints that you need and then start building with those colors. I wouldn't say this is a strict rule. It is sometimes fun to get creative and make each area of your base feel very different to the rest. Something like making a biome themed room is always fun too. Also, if a certain area of your base has a particular function, like a smelting factory for example, then you could use colors and decorative items you found to decorate that room accordingly. As you can see in the clip, my smelting factory has made use of stone blocks, decorative machinery that I've found in the desert biome, and lava pools. But I still have the walls and pathways around that follow my base's main theme. I recommend leaving finishing touches till the very end when decorating your base. So that means doing all of your terraforming, laying out your pathways, and placing all your main structures like workbenches and chests first, and then add texture and decorations later on. For example, in this small farm area here, I've already laid out the plots and a cooking area, but the outer parts of the farm are starting to look plain and boring, so I go and grab 5 or 6 different types of plants and moss, and start randomly dotting them around in even spaces to give the farm a bit more character. Likewise, around these grassy parts on the outskirts of my base, I've already laid out the pathways and shoveled out a nice glimmering river around the outskirts. And then, to decorate at the end, I've added plants all around and also added some nice picnic table in the gaps. The picnic tables are made with the peach paintbrush. I think they look pretty nice. Some final tips and advice. So, decorating can be quite overwhelming because there are so many different blocks and decorations in this game. To make things a bit easier to manage, you can use the paintbrush to color coordinate your chests. So you could have a green chest with all of the different green plants in the game. Or you could have a blue chest with all the blue themed blocks in the game, like the vending machines, the fireplaces, and those holographic tablet things that you find in some of the temples. Also, terraforming can be quite tiring and repetitive, so I would recommend just doing it in small batches to maintain your sanity. You can really get creative with some of the painted furniture items in the game. Here you can see how to make a bathroom type area by combining painted water buckets and seats with blank paintings to make a toilet and a sink. There's tons more combinations like this, so just experiment. You can also use the colour palette from the start of this video as a reference. Just make sure to save the video so that you can come back to it later. And the most important tip when decorating your base is just to get creative with it. See what happens when you mash certain block combinations together, and see what nice textures you can create with the loose ground blocks and plant blocks and things like that. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more videos like this in the future, do consider subscribing to the channel. That would mean a lot to me. If there's any Core-Keeper videos you'd like to see, do make sure to drop them down in the comments, and I'll see if I can make a video on it. But until then, take it easy, and I will catch you all in the next one.